Sorry. So I I think if I had to summarize this whole letter,
All right, we are back by popular demand. I have Michelle Dresbold. Had her on before, and if I do this right, the link will be somewhere up here. And Michelle covered the letter from Roberta Laundrie to her son Brian. And we put out that Brian left a notebook with I'll say a final letter or confession note, or there's a lot of speculation about what it means. And well, people want to learn more. So I brought back Michelle. Michelle wrote this great book, Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. And she will probably reference different parts of the book because this note is very long. And we're not going to cover every single part of it methodically, but she can tell you, not to be rude, where to go and find the information. How are you doing today, Michelle?
oh, I'm really good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's really great to have you back. I'm sorry it's on a dark subject, but then I guess there aren't many times other than your friend who started a new relationship that you get to have happy handwriting samples.
Right. Well, sometimes there's happy. We're next time we'll do a happy one.
That would be nice, actually.
Hmm. Like, yeah, like who you should date or something like
Ooh, I like
that.
that. I like that idea. Okay, so to this note, um, did you have an overall impression of it, or did you want to save that to later and just go right to page one?
Why don't we go right to page one? Because we'll summarize it at the end.
Okay.
Okay, on page one, which is the only part actually written to Gabby, it's what you see in I don't want to say typical last note, but it's more typical of somebody who is writing their last note. I want you to look at the word Gabby. Now, notice that Gabby, in this note, when he's writing to her, even though he doesn't say, Dear Gabby or my darling Gabby, it's Gabby. But Gabby is large and it's capitalized. So, actually, when he starts out, he is having good thoughts about Gabby. Now, it goes on and it starts writing, I will do this and I will do that. And if you look, you'll see that the I, his personal pronoun I, is very large. Now, there's only two ways that we write who are ourself in a letter. It's the I, me, myself, and I, and our signature. Your I is how you actually feel on the inside. Your signature, how you sign off, is how you want the world to see you or how you feel the world is seeing you. His I is extremely big and bold. What that means is, hi, here I am. Notice me. Look at me. You can't help if you even look at just those first few lines to see that I. Too big an I, a regular size I, here I am. Too small an I means, oh, I don't feel I deserve to live. I'm not so great. And too big an I means, ha, I'm the best in the world. So, right now, in the beginning of this at least, he is an egomaniac. Notice it goes straight uphill in the beginning.
Hmm.
This is actually very typical in a last note of somebody. What it means is I'm euphoric, I'm happy, I'm content. Now, most people would think that doesn't fit, but it actually does. Because if you understand the psychology of what's going on in someone's mind, people think, oh, that person's really depressed right now. Well, they're depressed before they write this, before they make that decision. A lot of people will say, wait, he was doing so well. He had been depressed and he seemed so happy the week before he left this earth, made himself leave this earth. But what happens is once a person makes that decision, they actually feel good. It's once you have a hard decision, making that decision is hard. But once you make it, you feel relieved. So it starts off with that straight uphill. Yes, I'm going to the heavens. Life is, I've made decisions. And he goes up, and then down the middle of the page starts to crash. And that's someone, I think I explained that in the other letter, when you go uphill and then I'm crashing down, uphill, crashing down. You will almost always see this in somebody who's contemplating the end of life.
Question on that front, and I believe I brought this up with another analysis. I just want to cover any questions that might come in. Because this is a very small notebook
Mm-hmm,
and he could be potentially writing on his leg,
mm-hmm.
could the curving have anything to do with the surface that it's on?
In this particular case, no. I mean, also because you'll see more samples of his writing and it doesn't do this. This
Mm,
is just very typical. I mean, sometimes someone writes on the floor, their wall, the knee,
mhm.
will make some difference, but not this extreme difference. This, no, no.
Okay.
Okay, if we go near the bottom of the page, let's look at that word love. Do you notice how small it is? It's
Mhm.
sometimes I don't read the writing. I look at just the picture of the writing. But when you see a word too small, you have to wonder why. And so love to him, I don't think he even knows what the word love means. It's hard, it starts to fade and it's very, very teeny. And I
The O is the same size as the period, it seems.
yeah, it's very teeny. So again, what is handwriting is brain reading. And what are we reading? The marks the person puts on a page, and it doesn't matter what language it is. But that when a word is too small or too big, we notice it. And that word love, what is love to him? He doesn't even know. So why
Mm,
don't we go on? Now, if you look at page 2, you had asked me a question about is it on his lap? Did that make the difference? No.
mhm.
Notice this page 2 is pretty straight. He can stay on the line. Lines are our boundaries. Lines are whatever. It means we stay steady. Notice this one stays steady. Why? Because he's not writing to Gabby anymore. He's making up a story now. If you, meaning me, you, the world, who knows who you is?
That's something that I actually had Peter Hyatt and Gavin Stone and another gentleman on discussing this, and the conclusion was that he's addressing the world.
What he's doing is taking himself out of it. He's not
Mm.
saying, if I sat next to her, if I thought about her. He's saying, if you. Um, I'm going to give you an example of this. A girlfriend of mine, and I like to use personal stories and I won't ever use anyone's name, but a girlfriend of mine had a love letter that a guy she was dating gave her. And he said, oh, dear Maybelline, I made that up. Dear Maybelline, you are a good cook and you are this and you. He did, and and then he said, but my dream woman, she is lovely and she is this. And I told her, you realize he's not talking about you, Maybelline. He's talking about my dream woman. And that's not you. 3 days later, he broke up with her.
Oof.
And with this one again, he took himself out of it. It doesn't matter who he's writing to. He's just not writing about himself anymore. And he can stay on the line because he's taken himself out of it. If you focused on Gabby in this part, all of a sudden Gabby gets small. It's not capitalized. And so now here he is. I love her. She's nothing. When you take someone's name and they write it really teeny, don't capitalize it. When they know how to capitalize, it means, nah, you're not so great. And
He
so,
also shortens her name, right? If you were reading Gab's journal at the top,
yeah, he writes it twice Gab, which is possible. That's a nickname. And he writes Gabby somewhere in this, I'm pretty sure, on this
yeah,
page.
about the middle.
Right. And both times they're not capitalized. And Gabby really gets little.
Hmm.
And so, and again, I'll summarize what I think that means at the end.
I think on the bottom you had something about grief or punctuation.
Well, yes, if you look at grief, the punctuation is very heavy. It makes a circle. When somebody grinds in their punctuation, think about it. If you're just going to go period, your arm moves on.
Mhm.
And then you move on psychologically. Someone who grinds in and their dots and their periods and their commas and their eye dots, they're real heavy like his are. What does that mean? You can't move on. You're compulsive. And if you're angry, I give a lecture. I give a lot of lectures and I make people write like HI dot the I, and then I make them go HI high and make them grind in that dot and put an exclamation and grind in the dot. And I ask them how they feel. And almost always everyone goes, oh, when I ground it in, I was angry, I felt tense. When you see ground in dots, you deal with somebody who is tense, angry, compulsive. They're also can't move on, and sometimes and often they're into some form of drugs. It's a way to can have substance abuse, and
Mm.
that's when you see those ground in dots. That dot also, and we'll go into this later in my last video, I told you somebody puts, I call it their weapon of choice in their writing. And
Mm.
that ground in dot is also meaningful, and I'll explain that later on in this video.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so why don't we go to page 3? On page 3, again, it's pretty stable. But where does it get not stable? On a word called rushing. Do you see that rushing goes straight and crashes?
Hmm.
Now, that is a sign that's when I look at a lot of confession notes for law enforcement, and when there are different signs, and we'll do another video on this, on how you can tell if someone's lying from their writing or embellishing, and there will be certain signs in handwriting. One of them is everything straight, and then all of a sudden a word goes down and passes the line. It's not exactly where they're going to lie, but right around there, expect a lie.
Mm.
Now, I was looking at this note, and it's his rushing. Notice in the first page we had all those great big I's. He wrote I all over the place. In this one, he's starting to write I again, but not for rushing. Why? Because he's not necessarily the one rushing.
Mm.
I feel probably Gabby was the one rushing to get away. So there's a reason he took out the word I. And no longer it's here, it's just the word rushing. And that around that word rushing is when when things are starting to go a little haywire, when he's going to start embellishing his story. Remember, this is Goldilocks' story. And if you can read what's underneath rushing, you're going to get the beginnings of what really happened that night. An unexpected tragedy, rushing back to our car. She was rushing. I'm sure she was trying to get away from him. Um, Before it got too dark, I heard a splash. So she's rushing away. Maybe he heard a splash. He's not saying her splash, and a scream. And whose scream was it? Hers, but not necessarily because um, she was cold, but she was trying to get her away and screaming. I couldn't find her. I shouted her name. That's probably true. He couldn't find her. She's trying to run away. Now, this is probably when he's killing her. Now, things are not always in chronological order. He said, I found her breathing heavily, gasping my name. Well, he did strangle her. And so she tried to run away. He tried, and she was gasping. And there
I
he was.
think he did. I don't recall if it was found that she was strangled or not. I can't remember. I think
I'm
so.
pretty sure that that's what, well, at least one of the things. It could have been more. They don't give you everything, but that was
Right.
at least one. But when they write, she was gasping for air heavily. He's
Mm.
telling you what happened. He's telling you what
Hmm.
happened. And again, as we go on, it may not be chronological, but anytime I see cross outs or things falling down over the line, I'm going to concentrate on that bit right after that.
Right. Like here, I couldn't find her is crossing the line. I didn't know
Right.
if that was significant.
Right, he couldn't. She probably tried to run away. She was rushing. He couldn't find her. That's all. As I mentioned in the last video, when we lie, we don't lie 100%, or when we embellish or
Mhm.
anything, it's from our brain. You can't, if your wife said to you, "Where were you last night?" And you're not going to go, "Well, I was in Australia talking to the kangaroos." You don't, you go, "Oh, wait, I was with my friend Bob." And you take some bits of truth and you throw them in with an embellishment, but
Mhm.
you can't. No one, very few people are creative enough to completely come up with a scenario that would be in a novel. So um, I just thought I'd give you that.
All right.
All right, we have a cross out,
Oh yeah.
a big cross out. So again, what is going to happen when somebody is ready to embellish or lie? They either get nervous, they shake, they go, This is where the cross out. And I take that like, oh, yeah, it's like I never believe anything's coincidental. I mean, sometimes you get your arm hit or something, but when you see things, I look at them pretty significantly. So
Mhm.
after the cross out, which means again, he's going to start to embellish. Something's in his head that he doesn't want us to know. And so he writes, and I'm going to try to read this. And her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. So let's go back to what we heard on the other page. But she's gasping for air. She is shaking violently. He wrote that word violently, which is significant to him. Um,
Yeah, he
and then
capitalized the word in the middle of the sentence. Is that significant?
very significant. That word is what he, when it's after that cross out, we have a capital that doesn't belong. And I know he doesn't have the best English, spelling English, but that has nothing to do with it. That's important to him. There was violence, violently. And not only that, he put that same word, I think it's two sentences underneath, where he says, gasping between violent shakes.
Hmm.
Here we have the cross out. Okay, he's getting ready to embellish, talk. This is what's going on. So he's shaking violently with a big capital V. And then he uses the word violent within the next few sentences. So he shook her violently, and they're gasping in air, begging for an end to her pain. Well, that's actually true. Think of someone, please stop, 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 stop this. She was begging for an end to her pain. So that's all right under this cross out. Um, and after the word pain, now you start to see that dot get bigger and bigger. Again, angrier and angrier. He's just letting out his emotions. And in fact, if you're out there watching this, try to make an I dot and make it really heavy and get to see how you feel. Now, I'm going to tell you something which I withheld earlier about that heavy, heavy punctuation. When you remember, I had said you
Yeah.
sometimes put um, your your weapon in handwriting.
Hmm.
What is that I dot? What's that big dot? What else can that be?
A rock.
No, it's a bullet.
Mm.
So I will find these heavy, heavy dots in people who use guns.
Okay.
Now, that's a bullet. I will give you another story. I like to tell my stories. I worked, a company called me in. They had an employee that they knew he was having issues, and they asked me to look at his handwriting. So I looked at his handwriting, and every day they had a sign in, I guess, when they came to work, and he had a dot. I make his name up, pretend it was Mike. And when he dotted his I, it was really dark and thick. As the time went on, like, I watched it through a couple of weeks, the eye dot got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I
Mm.
told this company, I said, he's a very dangerous man. You need to get rid of him. Do whatever it takes. You can't have him here. And they called in the union, and we had a big discussion, and they're like, well, we can't just fire him. And I'm like, you don't have time. And 3 days later, he came in and shot somebody.
Oh.
So those dots, everything's significant, because, as I said, you don't put things on the page that aren't here. They just
Mm.
doesn't happen. So anyhow, any questions?
Wow. Well, I know a bullet came into the story later,
Yeah.
but
Uh, anyhow, should we go to page 6?
sure.
Okay, so I also think he's telling us a story here. She would start the whole painful cycle again when she'd wake up. So I think what he's saying, it was painful. She'd wake up and want to leave him or they'd have a fight. And that cycle kept going and going. Again, he's telling you the story. You just have to like cross out a few words that aren't that important. And I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries. Maybe he didn't know exactly what he did to her. Um, only that and he wrote the word pain again with a big I dot, both in the pain over the I and after the word. Um, and let's go on to the next page.
Okay. Also,
Which was
it's odd here though how he said I ended her life. I thought it
yes,
was so that is kind of possibly I don't know. It sounds like a really bad encounter, like almost like there was a strangulation that wasn't complete, and then again and again. Like
it's,
it possibly
it's possible.
was not immediate, which
It's
is
possible.
tragic.
He did end her life, obviously. Um, I'll go back to that page. I just talk about it. I thought it was merciful that it was what she wanted. Um,
Mhm.
I think also, again, sometimes when people fight, leave me alone, go away, you're killing me,
Mm,
go away. And okay, I don't want to see you. And he's like, so, okay, I'll do what's good for you, or really what's good for him, so.
right.
It's very sad. And he said, I decided in this too.
Hmm.
I decided. I mean, it wasn't, he said it was a tragic accident early on. But here he writes, I decided. So he made a conscious decision of what he was going to do. So let's move on.
Page 7.
Page 7. And I'm going to summarize this whole thing up with the very last 3 words. And he says, Gabby, I'm sorry. Gabby's lowercase. And now his great big ego is not big anymore. He made a little, I call it a baby eye, a little dotted I for his eye. It's the first time in this whole letter. I'm sorry. So I I think if I had to summarize this whole letter, there was a cycle of violence, and he thought he was a big shot. And in the beginning, I love you, I love you, and then it's, I'm sorry. What happens when people are domestically or violent to their partners? It's like the people don't just usually stay with someone who's always horrible. They're like, I love you, I can't live without you, which is what goes on in that front page. To, oh, you're back in your cycle. You're giving me pain. And then at the end, wait, what did I do? I'm sorry. I love you. Come back with me. You see that whole cycle of abuse right in this letter. And he feels like a little nothing. It's how, remember I said, how do you sign it? This is sort of his ending. How does he sign it? With a little teeny eye. I'm really not a big shot. I really don't deserve anything. And that's how it ends.
Very sad. Sad. It really is a sad story, however you break it down.
It's very sad. I mean, it just, I mean, I think the biggest thing, I mean, if there's anybody out there who is being abused, is that when somebody is violent and then they say they're sorry and then they're violent again and there's a cycle, believe you're in a cycle and it's not gonna end. I mean, I guess you can get help or therapy, but I would say just get away and don't let I'm sorry, I love you. Don't let them pull you back in.
Wow. Well, sadly, I mean, it was a very sad end to a very sad story, and I think I'm going to have to hold you to it. We will have to come back with something more uplifting.
More joyous. I'm usually
Yeah,
funny. It's
right.
hard to be funny in this. So let's do something more fun, like, maybe your viewers can send in their relationship problems or something, and we can have some fun with that. So let's do something for fun.
All right, that sounds great. Now, Michelle, thank you so much. And folks, let us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there something that you're seeing in this letter that we didn't cover? Again, we didn't cover all of it deliberately because it would be a very, very long show.
It's 3 hours.
And also, if you have any other suggestions, people have mentioned Suitcase Sarah Boone as a possibility, or if there's other letters out there that could be interesting, please let us know.
Oh
And
yeah, I'd be happy if you have a suggestion of somebody you really want to know what's going on in their mind. Just suggest it, and we'll do it.